Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Lane Englund, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as by donations by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. The Neepawa Banner and Press. Kinley Thomson honored as Business of the Year by Owen Devereaux. For Kinley Thomson Chartered Professional Accountants, its connection to the communities it serves has always been about a lot more than just numbers. That connection was recently recognized by the Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce, as it has named Kinley Thomson the recipient of its Business of the Year award. The announcement was made during the Chamber's annual general meeting, which was held at the Royal Canadian Legion No. 23 on Monday, January 27th. Kinley Thomson was nominated for the award by Stride Credit Union. In its nomination letter read at the AGM, Stride lauded Kinley Thomson not only on its accounting services and financial advice, but for its willingness to give back. Kinley Thomson is a proud sponsor of local initiatives and groups, including the Neepawa Titans, the Touchwood Community Golf Tournament, as well as the annual movie night at the Roxy Theatre. Along with their community sponsorships, Ian Thomson, David Ferguson, and Chase Critchlow donate their time and expertise to overlook 30 local nonprofits and charities completing annual tax returns, while also attending hearings and providing annual reports. Their commitment to our community's well-being is a defining characteristic of Kinley Thomson, stated the nomination letter. Branch Manager Ian Thomson accepted the award on behalf of Kinley Thomson, saying that recognition was appreciated. You get to a point in your career where you start to look back and hope you've made a difference to your staff, your clients, your customers, and community. For someone to take the time out of their busy day and nominate Kinley Thomson, and for the committee to approve the nomination for us as a Business of the Year. Thank you very much. Thomson was also quick to note that the collective team that is a part of the accounting firm has been instrumental in their success and deserve recognition. In closing, he also stated that everyone involved with the firm believe in doing their part and contributing to the communities they are a part of. You hope that you've made a difference, so for someone to actually recognize you and say, hey, you and your people are doing a good job, it sort of validates what every one of us here is trying to do. Since 1998, the Neepawa and Gladstone-based accounting firm has been a part of the region. Its head office is in Neepawa, with an office also located in Gladstone. In total, it has a combination of 13 full and part-time personnel. And in the picture, we see some of the members of Kinley Thomson Chartered Professional Accountants. Back row, Ian Thomson, Cindy Tibbett, Sean Boyle, Myrna Denbo, Chase Critchlow. In the front row, Amy Villarreal in the green sweater, and Jocelle Gavia. Missing from that picture that day are David Ferguson. Open House, Full House by Casper Warehan. The community turns up en masse for the showing of Project 320. It's safe to say that there is a great deal of interest in Phase 1 of Neepawa's Project 320. Representatives had a full and busy evening on Tuesday, February 4th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. as the town office was packed to the brim with interested individuals. The event that evening was an open house detailing the proposed mixed residential layout plan for 58 acres of land located west of the water tower. Those 58 acres are just a portion of an overall 320-acre housing project, Project 320, which is being carried out in phases. A large map and a number of printouts of the layout plan pictured below were on display. The plans included the proposed divisions for a multitude of single-family lots in yellow, multi-family lots in pink, and large mixed-use orange lots. Also seen were the inclusion of green space areas and ponds, and the prospective street names to be used for the development. Representatives of the town were on hand at each board to answer questions, take feedback, and explain this first phase of the development. Seen here is just a fraction of the crowd that was in attendance throughout the open house this past Tuesday. Seen addressing those gathered is Neepawa's Economic Development Officer, Marilyn Crew. Neepawa RCMP charged youth after stolen truck involved in collision, submitted by Manitoba RCMP Media Relations. On Sunday, February 2nd, 2025, at approximately 2:30 p.m., Neepawa RCMP responded to a two-vehicle collision on Road 104 North at Road 76 West, 2 miles south of Glenella. When officers arrived on the scene, they found a truck in the south ditch and a minivan in the north ditch of Road 104 North. The local fire department and emergency medical services were already on the scene. A minivan being driven by a 24-year-old female from Amaranth lost control, and a truck following struck the minivan from behind, with both vehicles ending up in separate ditches. There were 2 other passengers in this vehicle. When speaking with the driver of the truck, a 16-year-old male from Dauphin, officers discovered that he had outstanding warrants and was placed under arrest. There was 1 other occupant in the truck. Through further investigation, officers learned that the truck had been reported stolen out of Elm Creek. A 22-year-old male and a 23-year-old female, as well as a 28-year-old female, all sustained minor injuries and were transported to hospital by EMS. All those involved in the collision are known to each other. The driver of the truck is charged with possession of property obtained by crime under $5,000. He also had 3 outstanding warrants of arrest from Winnipeg Police Service, and the others from the RCMP in Dauphin and Neepawa. He was remanded into custody, and the RCMP in Neepawa continued to investigate. Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. Canada Post rules make no sense. I have heard repeatedly and from various sources that Canada Post is making a very questionable decision in regards to local mail sorting. By local mail, I mean a letter or parcel that is dropped off at a given post office for another customer at that same post office. So let's say a letter from Mrs. Brown is dropped off at the post office A and is addressed to Mrs. Jones, also at post office A. It would seem to make sense that the local post office staff would sort through the mail and simply put all the mail addressed to that post office in a tub or bin and send out all the out-of-town mail on the next truck. That would make sense, but that is not the instructions from Canada Post. All mail, regardless if it is addressed to someone in that same post office or for another post office, is supposed to be sent to a regional center for sorting. I asked Media Relations at Canada Post for clarification. I must say I have submitted questions before to Media Relations, and the responses have been informative, polite, and quick, so good on them. I asked, we've been told that local post offices are required to ship all mail, even local mail, to a regional center for sorting, and then it's shipped back. Can local mail not be sorted at the local post office? That way there could be same-day or one-day delivery. Because I live in Neepawa, I asked about that post office in particular. Here's what I was told. As the letter mail originates from Neepawa Post Office, it would be consolidated in Brandon and then dispatched to Winnipeg, where all product originating from Manitoba is processed on their high-speed equipment. From there, it is sent to Brandon for the final processing and sort before it is dispatched to Neepawa to be sent out for delivery or pickup by the customer. The mail processing system in Neepawa has been in place for more than a decade. The process enables Canada Post to better monitor mail volumes in order to plan and respond to customer needs as needed. It takes approximately 3 business days for mail to arrive at its destination when mail is being sent within the same province. If customers have questions regarding their postal services, they can contact Canada Post customer service team online or by telephone. I asked the following question a different way, just so I would know exactly what is happening. Can you clarify if the process consolidated in Brandon and then dispatched to Winnipeg, where all product originating from Manitoba is processed on their high-speed equipment? From there, it is then sent to Brandon for the final processing and sort before it is dispatched. Applies to all southwestern Manitoba post offices? Media Relations answered, yes, we can confirm that all letter mail flow through Brandon to Winnipeg for all southwestern Manitoba post offices, as Brandon is the centralized distribution center for this part of the province. So there you have it, folks. Even if the letter is dropped off at a particular post office for a customer at the same post office, it has to be shipped to Brandon, then to Winnipeg, then back to Brandon, and then to your local post office. And they openly say it can take 3 days to get it back to the customer. That, by the way, is 3 business days and doesn't include weekends. If you drop off a letter on a Friday, it could take 5 days to get into the intended box number. Is it any wonder that Canada Post is losing money operating under rules that make no sense at all? I know it's not polite to call a company's decision maker stupid, but I think this process makes it difficult to not apply that description in this situation. The letter goes to Brandon, then to Winnipeg, then back to Brandon, and back to the originating post office. After all those truck rides, it still has to be put into the local post office box by local staff. So there's no saving of staff time at all. All this process is doing is making unnecessary work. It still takes the same amount of labor and time to put it in the mailboxes, regardless if it is done initially at the local post office or after the letter has made its 3-day trip. I would recommend that Canada Post re-examine this deal, but I suspect that unionized employees at Brandon and Winnipeg might object. Canada Post is bound up in poor practices, bad rules, and hidebound union protectionism. Guess we know where customers rank in importance in this process. Homebodies by Rita Friesen. At peace, I pray. The message no parent ever wants to receive arrived. The son I bore way back in 1968 succumbed to the cancers that ravaged his body. We live in the hope that we don't have to come to terms with the death of a child. The elders should die first. We all have a different story. We all have our own story. And with our own story, we have details and memories that we need to recognize and sometimes address. My son's body bore the scars of living. One vivid scar was on his right ankle. As a preschooler, shadowing his grandfather cleaning up a windrow burn, he got a boot full of hot coals, badly burning his ankle. The old family doctor wept as he faithfully changed the bandages, while the wee lad watched and winced, but never cried loudly. That same body bore the scar of an emergency tracheotomy required to save his life when he overdosed. The inquiring mind that challenged him to see how many of his chickens he could keep hypnotized at once, and for how long, 7 if one wants to know, and for quite a few minutes if you circle the chickens and keep drawing the line in front of their beak, was the same inquiring mind that drew him down paths that were not healthy. The hands that brought me spring flowers and sticky hugs were the same hands that, clenched in anger, punched a hole in the wall in lieu of striking me. These days I take out the memories of the young lad I knew so well, the one who raced at life, loved to fish and hunt. The year he turned 15, he chose not to attend school. The fact that no teacher, principal, school trustee, or truant officer ever called and inquired about his absence may be indicators of his presence in school. That winter he ate, grew inches, slept many hours, snowmobiled, and trapped small varmints. It was a winter during which his outdoor gear hung on the wash line for days because of a strong skunk odor. He maintained for years that the scent of skunk triggered his appetite, a carryover of the year of rest. My son was a comic and a mimic. He could replicate the speech and actions of family and community members, and there was no doubt about who he was enacting. He and I spent hours working together, clearing up old fence lines, scrubbing brush, and cutting firewood. We walked and talked and shared thoughts. And then I lost him to addictions and personality disorders. And once away, the severed link was forever severed. I give thanks for and to the partner that loved him and for the peace he found. When I share these thoughts with you, it is not for pity or judgment on either one of us. It is because this is far too common a story, one that folks do not want to address or often know how to address. My son, over the years, would be out of contact for years, only to reappear and cause heartache. I recall speaking to a mother whose son was killed, identifying strongly with her when she said simply, "Now I know where he is." I understood, and I understand. Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. The other C word. If you mention the dreaded C word, most people will assume that you are talking about cancer. Cancer, as we know, is a disease that shows no respect for who we are, what status we occupy, or how important we are to family, friends, and community. Its attack and it leaves its mark on its victim and their loved ones. But today we are reflecting on another C word. It is found in a statement St. Paul makes in his letters to the Philippians. I have learned, he writes, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. Philippians 4:11. Today's C word is contentment, which I believe is the missing ingredient in many of our lives. Contentment isn't a trait with which we are born. Infants will cry, kick, scream, and do whatever else they feel is necessary to let their parents know that they want something immediately, if not sooner. Do they thank their parents after they receive it? No. Are they content with what they receive? They may be satisfied, but mere satisfaction is not contentment. That trait must be learned. Contentment is a feeling of satisfaction with and gratitude for who we are, who we're with, where we are, what we have, and what we do. This quality of character is rooted in a strong faith in a sovereign God. This faith teaches us that nothing in life ever happens by accident. Long before we were born, God knew all about us. He knew where we would be born and who our parents would be. He knew all about the political, social, cultural, and religious conditions we would face in our formative years. He knew which schools we would attend, whether or not we would attend college or university, and if so, which college or university we would choose. He knew who we would marry, when our children would be born, and how many we would welcome into our families. And he knew what would bring us to this community, to the jobs at which we would work, and to the homes on the streets where we live. Knowing what he knew about us and our futures, God provided us with all the talents, skills, abilities, and other resources he knew we would need to survive, thrive, and serve him effectively, right here and right now. We must change our attitude to who we are, what we have, and the challenges we have faced to this point in our lives. Many years ago, I met a man who was taking treatment to overcome an alcohol and drug addiction. He pointed to a motto hanging on the wall of his room and said, "Neil, I don't believe much, but I sure do believe this." The motto read, "I know I'm special, 'cause God don't make no junk." That is where true contentment begins. But that does not mean that the way things are now is the way they will always be. When the time is right, God may show us if he has somewhere else he wants us to live or a different job he wants us to have. And just as he has done in our lives so far, he will give us all resources we need to succeed in the new tasks he has assigned to us. Until then, his message to us is this: be content with life as it is now, and faithfully serve me where I have called you to serve. More on being faithful next week. Your Listening Ear by Dulcie Martin. Connecting with your partner while parenting. Having children is a massive life change and takes a toll on the intimate relationship. Multiple studies have indicated that it is very normal for relationship satisfaction to decrease during the years of childbirth and child raising. They have found that a decline in relationship satisfaction over time is greater with couples who have chosen children than those who have not had children. This is significant because it suggests that the first year after your child is born is an incredibly challenging time. In fact, studies find this dip in relationship satisfaction remaining until the children are more independent. I want to normalize that a lot of folks don't feel like their relationship is on point during those young children's years. The stress of children is universal. It is not determined by culture, location, or socioeconomic status. Difficulties in connecting with your partner may come from multiple points. Time management is hard. Kids hijack your body, your brain, and especially your time. Children really need you lots in those earlier years, and the time you spend with them is very intense, leaving you feeling exhausted and irritated at the end of the interaction. It is especially intense if you are a natural empath who picks up on people's energies. Kids are one big ball of energy. So you have less alone time to spend with your partner. And when you do find the time, you are so exhausted and annoyed from the day that it is hard to bring your best self to that interaction. That makes relationship building hard. I would recommend connecting in micro moments. Micro moments are small windows of opportunity to connect with your partner to build intimacy. Examples are being cognizant of giving each other a hug or hello in the morning rather than just throwing the wet baby to the other person for a diaper change. Throughout the day, make sure to connect with random messages, funny photos, or photos of the kids to maintain that connection. Don't be afraid to talk about how your days went. These conversations sometimes take place over a period of a couple of hours because the kiddos are causing chaos in the background. But just the act of prioritizing moments of conversation with each other can make a huge difference. If possible, make your real connection time after the kiddos are in bed, with the understanding that if one of you needs some alone time, that time is also supported and welcomed. Practicing self-care fills your cup and increases your ability to tolerate the challenges to your relationship that come from parenting. I totally acknowledge that finding time for self-care is very hard and can feel impossible. Remember, some self-care is better than no self-care, so don't give up. Micro moments of self-care during the day is encouraged to put a drop in your cup each time. Maybe this is putting the TV on for your kids so you can read a book, having your favorite coffee creamer or snack during the day, or listening to music while you can. Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. Cooperatives. Cooperatives have played an important role throughout Manitoba's history. Early Manitoba farmers had always felt that they were being taken advantage of. The grain growers were the first to challenge the way in which their grain was traded and marketed. They believed, and rightly so, that unfair and at times corrupt practices occurred. As well, when buying supplies, they were charged exorbitant fees for their needed goods. In the 1870s, the Grange campaigned for cooperatives, buying clubs and farmer-owned elevators. Many of the first cooperatives faced challenges too great to overcome. 1906 was the beginning of effective organization by prairie farmers that formed the grain growers to sell their grain at profitable prices. In 1917, it merged with another cooperative, the Alberta Farmers Cooperative Elevator Company, to become the United Grain Growers, UGG. In 1924, the farmer-owned Manitoba Pool Elevators Limited was established. Later that year, representatives of the three provincial pools met at Regina and structured the Canadian Cooperative Wheat Producers Limited. They would gather and sell all the grain from the three provinces, and the proceeds would be returned to the growers after the deduction of the costs of marketing. Soon co-ops were formed to market milk, eggs, livestock, chickens, and other products. Many of the first co-ops were started by the English and Scottish farmers, as that is what they had been used to in their homelands. These farmers recognized the need to work together as part of one system for the benefit of all the members. Cooperatives are not only business enterprises created to break the power of the large for-profit corporations. A co-op is an enterprise that is owned and controlled by its members, and each member has one vote in how the co-op will be run and the election of the board of directors. A co-op involves goods or services at a reasonable cost, with the profits being distributed to members according to patronage in the form of dividends every year. Taken from By United Effort, the quarter-century story of Neepawa Consumers Co-op. On July 30th, 1929, another meeting was held in Neepawa. A definite decision was made to organize, and the new Consumers Co-op was born. A permanent board of directors was elected, consisting of G.H. Kilburn, G.A. Drysdale, E.H. Turner, A.D. Kennedy, D.S. Carmichael, B.F. Davidson, and V. Granger. Roy Johnson and another MCW director, Hamp Hindson, addressed the meeting on the advisability of proceeding to install an oil station. The co-op was only 1 month old when the gasoline tanks had arrived, and the first payment had taken $1,000 of the new co-op's total capital of $1,200. More money was needed to put the tanks in place and to obtain a truck for delivery. When the directors met on Saturday of that week, the executive presented the problem. A personal guarantee was needed from each director, or the co-op went out of business. There was a long and serious discussion. Finally, the document from the bank was passed around the table. 7 signatures were added, and the co-op had backing for a bank loan of $2,500. Tanks could be set up and a delivery truck obtained. From this humble beginning came our Neepawa Gladstone Co-op. In 1929, the new co-op's membership was 250, with a staff of 2 and $12,000 in sales. By 1940, membership was 800, with a staff of 6 and sales of $105,017. 1950 saw a membership of 1,025 with a staff of 14 and sales of $376,592. In 2017, the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op had a membership of 7,500, a staff of close to 200, and sales of $78.5 million. In Manitoba, there are general stores, gas bars, farm supplies, furniture stores, funeral services, natural gas utilities, water utilities, internet access, and cable television cooperatives. Credit unions are cooperatives as well. 1 in 2 Manitobans belong to a credit union. This is the story of the cooperative difference, people helping people to achieve a better standard of living. And the recipes this week are a turnip casserole and a carrot ginger slaw. Faith and Family by Tara Cohnhofen, Parallel Scenarios and What Ifs. I recently watched a video of a parallel scenario. The first version of the video was a parent shaming and raising their voice and yelling at their child, attacking with words, only pointing out mistakes, never praising, never encouraging. This resulted in the child becoming angry, mirroring their parents' actions and behaviors, and slumping their shoulders and crying in the dark alone. The parallel video was of an adult doing the same thing to another adult. The example shots were a boss, a friend, or a spouse. The adult responded in the same manner the child did, with anger and defensive behavior and words, lashing out and then slumping their shoulders and not achieving greatness. The interesting part about this is that as an adult, we have the freedom to defend ourselves and have a conversation about how the other adult treated us. But children don't always have that same freedom to express that they didn't feel safe, that they need more encouragement. Sometimes they don't know how to express it, and it comes out in anger or defense. This brought me to a place of understanding God's character and the parallel of His parenting of us in our walk and relationship with Him. He is big enough to hold our anger, our questions, our frustrations, our defensiveness and sadness. He doesn't lean down and scream in our faces or tell us to stop crying. He holds each tear with tenderness. He hears our concerns and whispers and words of encouragement. And sometimes, when necessary, he gives firm correction. But this is done with such love and tenderness we can't help but respond with obedience. It gave me pause to think and ponder on the what-ifs of this scenario. What if we could all step out of our human response and parent the way Christ does? What if we modeled this in our walk with our own kids? I often wonder and pray into what would happen, how they would grow and flourish under a Christ-centered way of parenting. If we are called to walk as Jesus did, if we are created directly in the image of God Himself, how then should His character be reflected in our parenting, in our marriages, in our workplaces? This week I have challenged myself to be more self-aware of how I am responding, what I am sowing into my relationships with the people I am directly in contact with daily. And if I can feel the conviction of an area I am not reflecting Christ, to take a step back and evaluate how His character would replace the way I've been acting. And we have a Valentine's Day coming up, 8 unique Valentine's Day gift ideas. Number 1, custom painted portrait by local artists. Doll likeness. You can have custom dolls made in your sweetheart's likeness. Preserved roses. A journal or a scrapbook. A first date map. A birthstone jewelry. Experiential gifts such as a couple's cooking class, tickets to a sports game or concert, or a vacation to a romantic locale, or even a day or night out on the town. Or number 8, prepare a favorite recipe for your loved one. This Valentine's Day, people can consider these unique and thoughtful gift ideas. Christine and Ken Waddell recognized in Parliament. Last month, Dan Mazier-Wright, Dauphin Swan River, Neepawa Member of Parliament, read out a statement of recognition in Parliament in Ottawa. Mazier said, "I want to thank them for being pillars in their community and for giving a voice to rural Canadians for so many years." On January 31st, Mazier came to the Neepawa Banner and Press office to present a framed copy of the parliamentary statement to Chris and Ken Waddell. Darryl Gerrard finding his strength in hybrid circuit training by Owen Devereux. There are plenty of reasons to make health and fitness a priority as you grow older, whether it's to keep up with the kids or perhaps the grandkids, fend off the everyday aches and pains associated with aging, or maybe you just want to look good. The reason doesn't matter. If you want to be the best version of yourself, it's never too late to start. And Neepawa's Darryl Gerrard is living proof that health and fitness knows no limits, age-wise or otherwise. Gerrard recently competed at the Fittest in Manitoba, which is a circuit training style competition. The event consists of athletes of all different skill levels, novice, intermediate, RX, and Masters 40+, and involves various functional movements performed at high intensity. While Gerrard has competed in team-style events previously, this was his first individual competition. His inaugural effort was definitely successful as he finished in second place overall for the men's Masters category, 40+. For Gerrard, while this personal recognition is rewarding, it was never the end goal. Gerrard first started with standard weightlifting 14 years ago, but soon was intrigued by the concept of circuit training, which is more likely well known to the general public by the corporate brand name CrossFit. Gerrard told the Banner and Press that the reason why he rededicated himself to fitness was simple enough. He just wanted to feel a little bit better during the day. "I just kind of started doing some basic body training, the kind a lot of people start, and that was out of necessity for health. I had a very bad back, and I was told I was facing back surgery, so I knew I had to address some strength," stated Gerrard. "And it just kind of evolved, watching the other members doing the functional training. So I decided I wanted to give myself a bit more of a challenge, just to try to improve my body and strength over like a broad spectrum of movements. From there, Gerrard's body and his overall health responded to the challenge. Sure, there were bumps and bruises along the way, but a little self-induced muscle fatigue is a whole lot better than getting cortisone shots in the back. Gerrard noticed that the quality of living improved, not just physically, but from a mental mindset as well. Circuit training is very team-oriented, as classes will motivate one another to give their best effort and push themselves to be the best version of themselves. He noted those types of lessons from the class can easily be adapted as day-to-day in a positive manner. Back to the fittest in Manitoba competition, the event features a variety of skill sets that could challenge the participants. For Gerrard, he was faced with a mixture of Olympic-style lifts and hybrid feats such as burpees, kettlebells, and box jumps. It's not enough to simply lift a lot of weight. No, this event required a multifaceted athlete who is as mentally strong as they are physically. Gerrard said it was that mental strength that placed him in the fittest in Manitoba competition to begin with. I've looked at these type of individual events for a while, and 9 years ago, it would have been my worst nightmare to step out into a competition by myself. So that's part of the training that grows you as an individual to be confident and develop that strength of confidence. And this was the next logical step that I just wanted to do. So I set it as a goal. I said, in 2025, I'm going to do an individual competition. So I started looking, and, there's one in January. This was as good a time as any, so I signed up with minimal advanced preparation, but no point stressing on it and thinking about it. Just go do it. As for where he hoped to place within the competition, Gerrard admits that he held out to perhaps challenge for a place on the podium. All you can do is go out and execute to the best of your abilities. I was hoping to be competitive. I thought my fitness was good, and it was nice to get out and see where I was at. I was pleased with this result, and it reaffirmed where I thought my training was. And it's going to hopefully set me some new challenges for the rest of 2025. And we have pictures. Darryl Gerrard of Neepawa has been practicing in the circuit training for about 14 years. Gerrard competed in his first individual competition in January at the Fittest in Manitoba event in Winnipeg. He finished second in his category, the Men's Masters 40+. Well, we have a picture of the Neepawa Farmers 2024-2025. Back row from the left, Preston James, Tom Coots, Ethan Winters, Miles Willerton, Dustin Cook, Tariq Lapointe, Rylan Bray, Riley Davey, Ward Brister, Lincoln Murray, Ryan Miller. In the front row, Nate Braun, Brad Ronson, Hayden Colasar, Kyle McDonald, Garrett Rempel, Brett Lewandowski, Shane Byram, Dylan Birch, Callan Dembo, Grant Graham, and missing from the picture are Tyler Fanning-Cox, Corbin Mariash, Lennon Carr, Brad Marshall, Zach Hicks, and Cody Pasawisti, the coach. The JV Tigers host basketball tournament. The Neepawa Tigers JV boys hosted an 18 tournament over the weekend. Neepawa started the event by defeating the Neeland Spartans on January 31st, 61-46. The next game was against the Pembina Trails Collegiate Trailhawks, a quadruple A club from Winnipeg. The Trailhawks won 104-24 and eventually cruised to a 111-46 victory over the Vincent Massey Vikings in the final. As for the Tigers, they faced the Portage Collegiate in the third-place game. Neepawa put in an impressive effort, but eventually were bested by the score of 60-44. Congratulations to Pembina Trails for winning the event and for Neepawa's impressive hosting of the event. NACI Tigers hockey win in Hamiota by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Tigers held off a late-game effort from the Hamiota Rivers Elton Huskies on the way to a 5-3 win on Tuesday, February 4th. The Tigers appeared to be on their way to an easy win in the first 40 minutes of action, scoring 4 goals unanswered. Cohen Kolbaki scored his 40th goal of the year in the first to give Neepawa the 1-0 lead. Then in the second, Ian Foster just took over everything, scoring a natural hat trick in just a 3.36 span. Those were his 23rd, 24th, and 25th goals of the year. For the third, Hamiota scored off of a power play chance to make it 4-1. Cohen Kolbaki would add a second goal on this day near the midpoint of the period. Then, with less than 5 minutes remaining in regulation, the Huskies scored 2 more, both on the power play, to make it a 5-3 final. The win is Neepawa's 16th of the season and improved their overall record to 16-7-1. The Huskies, meanwhile, dropped to 16-4-3. The next for Neepawa was a home game on Wednesday, February 5th, played just after the Banner and Press publication deadline. Neepawa Farmers fall to Deloraine Royals in shootout. An amazing comeback in the third period fell just a bit short for the Neepawa Farmers on Saturday, February 1st, as they lost to the Deloraine Royals in a shootout 6-5. The Royal appeared to be on the way to an easy win, scoring 5 of the first 6 goals of the game. Neepawa powered back, however, to tie it and send it to extra time before being defeated in the shootout. We have obituaries this week for David Albert Erickson, Ryan George Crichton, and Marie Effie Wisnowski. The Gladstone Cattle Market Report by Tyler Slawinski. It was an interesting week nonetheless, from an abundance of cattle to market last week with milder temperatures to a cold and a slightly lighter run of cattle. Worry, doubt, and suspense crossed many thoughts as we all patiently waited for an all-out trade war to break out. Thankfully, that didn't have to be the case as of yet. The markets opened on Monday with great uncertainty, but after some of the smoke cleared, it seems as though it was starting to regain some traction. Our market started off higher than expected, with the cows and bulls trading stronger in spots than the week before. The Canadian dollar plummeted to start the trade this morning, February 5th, which was definitely in our favor. It regained most of what it had lost by mid-afternoon. Futures were also hurting from the past 2 trading days, which had a negative effect on our feeder cattle. First cut cattle are selling strong. Most of the feeder cattle sold well and much similar to trade from 2 to 3 weeks ago. Second and third cut cattle are definitely seeing discounts. If they don't fit the orders, they are soon sorted from the packages. Looking at that from a buyer's perspective, with the cattle being worth so much, it's not hard to see why they are paying a premium. The cattle are still in strong demand, and I expect to see strong prices until the next political debate. We sold 917 head of cattle through the ring in Gladstone, Manitoba on February 4th. Cows and bulls are trending with higher averages. Feeding type cows and heiferettes are still selling stronger than yielding cows. Yielding cows still traded quite reasonable from 170 to 186, looking like strong demands. Feeding type cows are ranging between 186 and 190. Bulls traded stronger, ranging between 210 to 220.50. With these prices, it's not hard to see why many of these young feeding type cows aren't getting a second chance. The cow herd isn't growing very quickly, and we are finally starting to see some optimism in the industry. All classes of cattle sold well. Plainer type cattle are still being discounted. Some highlights from the sale. Red steers weighed 350, traded for a decent 640 per pound. Black steers weighed 465 and traded for 560. Crossbred steers weighed 570 and brought 499. Crossbred steers weighed 624 pounds and they hit 469. A liner load of fancy red X steers weighed 780 and they checked out at 422.50. Crossbred steers 830 pounds brought 378. Heifers, red heifers, weighed 385 and traded for $537.50. Tan-hided heifers weighed 460 and brought 500. Char heifers weighed 525 and made 490. Char heifers weighed 663 and traded for 405. And last but not least, a big set of 723-pound black-hided heifers sold for $371. Pickleball in Neepawa, submitted by the Neepawa Pickleball Association. The popularity of pickleballs continues to increase worldwide, and Neepawa is keeping up with that trend. Due to the increasing interest in town, there are now 3 opportunities to play pickleball per week: Monday evenings, Wednesday afternoons, and Thursday afternoons, all at the First Baptist Church. Recognizing that pickleball is one of those sports that is easy to learn but difficult to master, the Neepawa Pickleball Association is hosting pickleball clinics in March. Open to everyone regardless of skill level, these 2-hour clinics can help you learn the basics or improve your play if you've got the fundamentals under your belt already. Certified pickleball coach Jackie Jacobson will guide the 8-person clinics through the techniques, including shot selection, proper technique, and game strategy for the intermediate player. The cost is $35 for each 2-hour clinic. There will be a small number of paddles available for those who don't have one. One clinic will be held on March 8th from 10 till noon, and 2 clinics are scheduled for March 22nd, one from 10 a.m. to noon and the second from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Each clinic is limited to 8 participants, so pre-registration is required. For more information, email neepawapickleball@gmail.com or check out the Neepawa Pickleball Association Facebook page. Cooking with the Stars is back, introducing the Neepawa Kids Snack Edition. The Neepawa Kids Eats Healthy Committee is excited to bring back Cooking with the Stars again this year. The goals of this community work are to highlight the importance that food plays in our lives, encourage more cooking and food preparation to happen at home even when feeling stretched for time, and remind us all on the important role that food can play in helping build connection in our homes and community. On January 27th at the Arts Forward Kitchen, kids and parents were preparing some of their favorite after-school snacks. Much fun and laughter was held as they prepared chocolate chia pudding, rainbow fruit skewers, apple mouths, and fruit smoothie pops. Turn into NACTV to watch the first episode airing on February 11th, 12th, 14th, and 15th. And the picture shows Sherry, Scarlett, and Isla pictured on the left, and Gretchen and Athena pictured on the right, were some of the participants at the recent Cooking with the Stars Neepawa Kids Snack Edition held at Arts Forward. Cooking with the Stars is an initiative by the Neepawa Eats Healthy Committee. And there's Kids Scoop showing Valentine's Day craft. There's a maze, there's a Valentine pencil popper, you can make a love bug or a hearty mouse. And going back, because we have just a few more minutes, looking back, 125 years ago on Wednesday, February 7th, the local fire brigade have arranged with the Harry Lindy Company to produce 2 fine plays under their auspices in the Opera House here on the evening of March 2nd and 3rd, and we expect our citizens to give them all possible assistance on those dates. And 50 years ago, Thursday, February 6, 1975, Alvin Riley of the Neepawa District has been chosen to represent his former regiment as part of a delegation sent by the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs to help celebrate the 30th anniversary of the liberation of Italy. He will act as one of 2 representatives of the Princess Patricia Canadian Light Infantry and will leave for Italy in mid-April. Mr. Riley, who attained the rank of sergeant and was a member of the regiment for 5 years, 8 months following his enlistment in 1940, and he and the regiment saw almost the entire Italian campaign. He missed the 1943 invasion of Sicily when the troop ship he was in was torpedoed in the Mediterranean, but altogether spent more than a year and a half in Italy. And 20 years ago, Monday, February 2005, the Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce prepared to sell its tourist information booth to the town. The town of Neepawa is taking the fight for more beds in the new personal care home straight to the top to Health Minister Tim Sally. The federal government has declared 2005 the Year of the Veteran, and Neepawa's Lily Festival is doing its part to recognize those who fought for our freedom. In conjunction with the local branch of the Royal Canadian Legion, the Lily Festival will be recognizing area veterans during the July 22nd to 24th event. Military memorabilia was displayed throughout the three-day festival. In addition, the 100th anniversary of Neepawa's Land Titles Office will be marked during the festival with a plaque dedication. And that's everything for the Friday, February 7th, 2025 edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press.